What's up, guys? We just came back from watching Dragon Ball Super Broly. We're gonna give our opinions about what we thought about this movie, and also talk about like, was Dragon Ball Super Broly a disappointment? And go ahead and take it away, Chuku.
Was Dragon Ball Super Broly disappointing? I want to say kind of. And my reasons go down to three things that for me stood out for it. I'm going to go in this order. So first one would be pacing. The pacing in this movie was just, I don't want to say it was a mess, but it was kind of really off. And for those of you who don't understand about pacing in movies, it's like the timings where scenes will switch, or timings where there's emotional beats and how we hit them. So like, for example, if a character dies in the first 5 minutes versus if a character dies in the first 15 minutes, there's a different type of emotional impact the character is going to have based off it.
I see. So what are you saying? Are you saying like, in terms of pacing, like Bardock died too soon or something?
Well, there's that with the Bardock dying really fast, but more along the lines with that whole Bardock thing, just him even being like, "Oh yeah, Frieza's gonna destroy us," type of thing. Where I can get him being skeptical, but the way it just came across, it was just like, "Yeah, Frieza's gonna destroy us. We need to get rid of my son. Don't worry, if my son isn't, if I'm wrong, we'll get him back." Like, it didn't seem like, I didn't really feel like he was scared for him or scared
I
or
see.
anything. It was just like he was just
So
lenient about it.
yeah, he was missing that like tension that he had in like the non-canon films, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I actually get what you mean, but it must have been like the whole like, oh, I'm gonna accept my fate. I'm gonna die.
yeah,
Frieza's gonna kill us all, and I guess I'm calm about it.
yeah,
And as long as my son lives, I don't know. That's a good point. That's a really good point. I'm not sure how to reconcile that.
yeah. I honestly, that was another pacing issue I kind of had, and then another pacing issue I had with the film. Um, it kind of goes with the fusion dance, which, not that, like, I understand that it was kind of a joke, that, you know, you're gonna see them fail fusion stuff, but the way that Goku just was like, "Oh, let's just go use fusion," like, I just didn't really like. We know they hate fusion, so I felt like out of all the time periods, what would make them at this point feel like they need to use fusion at this point? Because we know that even in the Tournament of Power, where there literally was a scene where they're like, "Oh, you can have Potara earrings." Goku and Vegeta didn't
Vegeta.
feel like they need to get the earrings, but all of a suddenly in this movie, Goku's just like, "Let me leave the battlefield and do fusion." It just, like, I really wish there was a properly build up towards that, and I felt pacing there was just.
I see. I see. Well, I don't think there's any good explanation. I just think that, Toriyama wanted Gogeta to show up for the fans.
Yeah,
So they were just gonna fit him in either way. But if you wanted like a good or some reason, I guess like what I can make up in my head is like, okay, Vegeta has been getting, his character has been developing into somebody who's a bit more humble and who's also like more accepting of things. So him doing fusion, or I'm guessing like his sort of mentality about working with Goku has changed, like ever since like they fought Jiren together and everything. Like he's more willing to accept like, if we work together we'll be stronger. So that could be a reason why like, oh, fusion was an option this time. But yeah, that's just like something that I made up in my head.
yeah, yeah. I mean, one thing to play devil's advocate I can give is that, they probably felt that Brawly was so strong that it was supposed to feel like it was one of those, like, okay, he's just that strong that we just have to use fusion. I can play that devil's advocate. It just, again, I didn't get that sense of feeling in the way the movie was portrayed, especially because Brawly even began off weaker than them. That it was like, oh man, we need to start using fusion. Instead, it kind of came off. It kind of
Yeah,
came out
I
left field.
understand.
So Not to mention they said they broke the Batar earrings, which I don't believe. The Batar earrings are still on the Kai. So I'm like, what do you mean the Batar earrings are broken? I didn't get that.
I don't I don't remember that scene, but
Yeah. Yeah, that was their reason why they didn't turn to Vegito, because they said the Batar earrings were broken. Otherwise, they would have turned
oh,
to Vegito. But
oh.
so that to me was another bad pacing thing. And then my last bad pacing, which is I would say Brawley's relationship with her name starts with a C, the green alien girl. Is it Chidata?
Honestly, I forgot. It was like Lemo and yeah, let's just look it up.
Yeah, I think it's Chilai. I don't.
Chilai,
Yeah,
yeah,
okay, there we go. Chilai. Yeah, her.
or or Sheila. I'm not sure.
Sheila or whatever. Fan service green alien girl. That's what I remember her as. Um, I just felt like, okay, so I understand that she feels sorry for Brawley being having the thing around his neck being contained and stuff, and understands that Brawley has what's it called, a sympathy side to him. I just felt like the way that, I mean, to be fair, we never get to see in the movie, so we don't know how long they've had a connection. But the way it was even addressed, where he's like, "Oh no, we gotta protect this guy who had what was it called? Who cares about that animal?" Like, even the way the line was expressed, it was just like, so they see this guy care about this animal, and they and they feel so like sympathy for him. It just I really wish there were, again, it being rushed. I really wish there was more time with them, with her building a connection with Broly. Because for me, it just seems like she just has like a fetish for him. Like, he's some Tarzan-looking handsome dude, and she just wants him not to just be destroyed. That's what I got. It felt like a superficial connection.
I see. I see. So you basically wanted the film to develop their characters, their relationship
A
more,
little bit.
give him more time,
Give him
and
more time,
whatnot.
more scenes with them. Like, they don't need to have like a deep, heartbreaking moment where she's like, "Well, I never want to be an outlaw." Like, it doesn't have to be like some CW Arrow thing where they over exaggerate it, but at least a little bit more where I'm not like that whole scene where you like it's supposed to be like, "Oh no, I hope she does. I don't want this guy to get destroyed. He cares about animals, so he needs to be saved." It's like,
I get what you're saying, but at the same time, you gotta remember this is Dragon Ball, and like, there's I don't think there's a single relationship in Dragon Ball where like they actually made the relationship make sense. It's sort of, I don't know. I just feel like all the relationships, all of a sudden, boom, they just like each other. There's nothing, there's no real like. Vegeta and Bulma didn't really make sense to me. They just started liking each other.
that's
There's no scenes between them that sort of like added to their relationship over time. It just happened in that like 2 year training skip before the androids. And I guess you could say Chi-Chi and Goku had like screen time together as in Dragon Ball, like
well,
before they got married. Like they fought each other,
yeah,
and then Chi-Chi just liked him.
yeah.
So maybe that's the one relationship where you can say that. But like Krillin just looked at 18 and just like all of a sudden fell in love. That's like, I don't know. I'm just saying, like
Okay.
in Dragon Ball standards, this relationship is not like far off or like weird. It's pretty standard.
I mean, okay. Here's the thing about Krillin though, and not to mention also forget about Gohan and Videl. That one
That's
was a
true.
really
That's
good
true.
Example of a
That one was good. That one was
example of
good.
a relationship.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
But even with Krillin, I mean, yeah, Krillin protect her because he basically had some interest in her, and and that's the reason why he saved her. But at least with that one, it's like you can see that, okay, this guy saved his life, whatever, blah blah blah. Um, Not to mention she kind of kissed him on the cheek a little bit. So like if you really think about it, although it's small and subtle, at least there's some sort of like you know that Krillin's this guy who's kind of like, I don't want to say hopeless, but he's bad with women. He has a woman who's pretty beautiful, kisses her on the cheek, and then he saves her life, which in return she must feel like, whoa, he saved my life. There's something about him that stands out. So at least with that, and it's not even like I need it to be like super romantic. I mean, my thing is just that for it to be, um, for it to be that emotionally, for us to see that emotionally worried in the way it was, because you can tell that scene it was supposed to be more of a dramatic, like obviously it's like she doesn't want to lose her puppy type of scene, which that's what I kind of felt with the connection. I felt that if the pacing of that was done better, it would have it would have had a
Yeah,
better impact, and that was sort of something
I
that kind
got
of
you.
lacked.
I'll agree with that.
So that's what I have to say with pacing. But leading to pacing goes to, I think, probably the biggest, one of the biggest issues I had with this movie, and that's the word tension. I honestly didn't feel much tension in this movie at all. Like, maybe there's a couple moments where I was like whoa, or like, oh, that's pretty sad, that's pretty effed up. But most of the time, it just going back to the way, going back to what I said about Bardock and how Bardock was just like, oh yeah, Frieza's gonna destroy us. We better go send my boy. Like, I just felt like they were way too chill. Like even when Goku just was able to leave the battle with Brawly, he's just like, yeah, Brawly's this reckless monster. We better just go leave and go waste an hour learning fusion and leave Brawly alone with Frieza. Like I just felt like, yeah, again, I never felt really worried or scared, which to me that kind of kills the fun of the movie if you're not, if you're not like you're like, oh my god, is something bad that happened for these characters, or you're not worried for them. And
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, but for me, I don't know. I wasn't too concerned about tension. Like, because we already know Dragon Ball history. We already know Planet Vegeta gets blown up by Frieza. So
yeah,
it's true that Bardock should definitely have been way more worried. But um, at the same time, like while they're fighting Broly, we already know that Vegeta and Goku are not like, they're sort of, in a way, yeah, I gotta agree with you in terms of like just the way they fought him. I just feel like they weren't that serious. They were
exactly.
like, they're just, yeah, you're right. In terms of like not being serious in the fight, I get what you're saying. Um, yeah, but at the same time, after they fused, like that's sort of when they became like, okay, we're gonna kill this guy. And that's when like things got a bit more tense, in my opinion. Just like, because for me personally, I like Broly as a character, and I like what they did with him this time. They actually made him a real character, with like a real personality, not just like some evil person who just destroys planets. But so because they did that, and because I liked Broly, or I like Broly in general, it's just like I'm worried if he's gonna die,
Okay.
like if he's actually gonna die. And so from that perspective, it's like there is a little bit of tension for me, because I'm like, okay, shoot, Gogeta can kill him like at any point in time,
Mm.
um, and I'm like waiting to see how like they're gonna play it out. And obviously, I knew he was gonna be saved when they started like gathering the Dragon Balls, but the question then became like, oh, how is he gonna be saved?
Yeah, I mean, see, I'll give credit to that, and that's one thing I was hearing a lot with the people, that people felt that this was more of like, this was more of a brawly film, so that a lot of people were saying that even though Goku and Vegeta wise, especially the fact that they were almost stronger than Brawly, you're not really worried about them. But if you really like Brawly, and it going back to the Brawly aspect, you're more worried about Brawly because you're like, oh, you don't want Brawly to get destroyed, knowing his story. So I do give credit to that, and I will go on to my my other point with the whole Brawly being really considered or caring for Brawly. But my issue with tension again is just that we just noticed in Super, one of the biggest things that is why people are not really enjoying Super is there's just a lack of tension. Like you almost feel, again, ever since like Beerus and Whis came in, you almost just like, well, Whis can do this, Beerus can do that. Uh, um, like it's just you, and then you also knowing the ending of Dragon Ball Z, where you know that Goku is going to train Oob. You kind of know that certain characters are not going to die. So it's
Yeah,
like this
but
tension thing is sort of it's kind of you kind of don't really feel it as much. And with this movie, there's other ways you can create tension. Like you don't have to like you don't have to always make it the end of the world to create tension. There's other ways to do it. I just felt with this movie, especially with it being Brawly, it being this whole like again, he's supposed to be this powerful foe. They're going to use Gogeta, but you know they can fight in this nice Iceland without the whole planet getting destroyed. Meanwhile, we have villains like Kid Buu, who they were like, man, we better take him to the Sacred Guys, or this guy's gonna destroy everything. And I mean, yeah, Brawly's more controlled, so I'll give them that argument that Brawly's more controlled than Kid Buu. But it just again, like, I mean, Whis was able to take care of Brawly, so it's just that lack of tension just makes you go like, well, they just seem too relaxed, and that was something that killed it for me.
I see. I see. I mean, that's fair. I just think like, yeah. I mean, in Dragon Ball Super, I'd say there still is like some tension in like Goku Black killing Bulma or future Bulma.
Exactly.
The Tournament of Power, like just seeing how it goes down and who comes up on top, because there's no real way to really know. I mean, of course, we're gonna guess that Universe 7 is the one that comes up on top, but like,
Because of Oob.
but at the same time, it could have been someone else, and then they just wished everyone back. You know, they could have done that. They could have done what 17 did. Like,
Yeah.
what if Jiren won and then like just wished everyone back? Of course, he probably wouldn't have done that, but but it's an outcome that's possible. So it's not like a given, but and same thing, like Goku could technically still die, and they can wish him back with the Dragon Ball. So it's, I guess, in a way that still offers some tension, you know, knowing that they can die. But they're most likely not going to do that anymore, to be honest.
Yeah. So my last one goes to motivation, and this one goes for Brawly. And this is the reason why, bringing it back to your point where people were saying because it's Brawly's movie, we should really feel, that's why a lot of the tension was more on Brawly. And on one hand, I would really go on that point. Because I really want to, I can understand people's opinion on that. The reason why I didn't feel the same way is that although Brawly's been traumatized, the fact that we don't know what's his clear drive, what he wants to do, we know that he's been attained, he's been locked, his father has control of him. That being said, we don't know, like, if Brawly's free, like Brawly being free, does he want to get stronger? Does he want to take care of more animals? Like, with us not knowing what's his purpose and ambition, and it's just this sad little animal, I can't really root for him in a sense, because I'm not like I don't really, like, to me, like, the only value he has is just this control robot to, like, he's just a tool to be, all I see is he's just a tool to fight Vegeta. I don't see him as any other thing else. And that's, to me, why I couldn't really go off that off that whole idea that this is just like a Brawly movie. Like, if it was like Infinity Wars, where it's like, you know how if Brawly was like Thanos, where we really see his goal, his drives and stuff, and then Goku and Vegeta and all this stuff were stopping him, then I really would have been worried, and then I really would have felt something and be like, oh snap, man, I want Brawly to win, don't kill my Brawly, right? But because I didn't really get that, it's just like, oh yeah, I mean, I'm glad he's free, but what is he gonna do? Is he gonna
I got you.
is he gonna make a family with Chila? Is he gonna become a
Chilai?
Chilai? Is he gonna be a fighter? It's just little stuff like that where would have made the movie, in my eyes, more impactful. Just it lost for me on that, and I couldn't really see what people were saying about that. So that was my last problem. I would have to say.
I'll agree with that. That's a very good point. Like, I think for me personally, as a kid, I just really liked Broly, the original Broly, right? You know, it's like big, crazy, strong guy, and like, you know, how can you not like powerful characters? That's just like,
Yeah.
As a kid, you just think that's so dope and so cool. So it's like, and then like when you take that, and then now that we're older and the nostalgia is still there, it's you just sort of like the character and you just want him to survive. So that's what it was for me.
Yeah.
But I don't know about everyone else, but at the same time, like I'm sure people still felt like some sympathy for him just because like of his backstory.
Yeah.
But you're right that I think that if they gave him a real goal or just like some motivation, like it would have made the character a lot more. Just give him more dimensions. Just give him
Yeah.
more to work with for the audience in terms of likability and
Yeah,
everything.
definitely, definitely. Like, I think, especially like I said, like this would have solved literally. If I felt like if it was just a Brawly movie, and they took away the, much as I love the whole destruction of the Sane stuff, but if they took away that, they focused on Brawly, and we're just seeing his goals, that would have solved all my problems with this movie. Because then it's like, again, you're seeing Brawly go through this stuff. You're seeing that maybe he wants to be free, and maybe he just wants to, maybe he wants to have a family. I don't know what Brawly wants, but give him something he wants. Goku and Vegeta, Frieza are all stopping him. Now he gets that chance to be free or whatever at the end. And it's like you feel like he overcome an obstacle. And maybe he's more motivated to be a fighter now because he sees that the fusion is stronger than him. So if they had that, that would have, to me, this would have been the best Dragon Ball movie. But because it didn't have that for me, and then, not to mention, I feel like the overhype of this movie, with everyone saying that it's this most emotional impact, all this stuff that I'm hearing about this movie.
Really? Yes.
Like, people, like, that's the reviews I'm hearing with the fandom, that it's like, this is the best Dragon Ball movie ever. All this, like, I'm hearing all this, like the way I describe the problems, people are seeing it as, like, that was in the movie. And I'm like, where do you see that? I didn't see that, you know? So, because I'm seeing all of that, that's why I think, comparing to the three of them, I would say that Battle of the Gods, in my eyes, is still better. And I know that Battle of Gods, it wasn't as emotional in terms of like the reasons, the motivations behind the characters fighting. There wasn't not much of an emotional, like Beerus just wants to fight a god, like that's his thing. It's not like he was hurt by the Saiyans and wants revenge or anything. That being said, because it knew that it wasn't that and it really owned to it, it still had tension. Like that scene where Goku's all like, I won't let you destroy my world. Like that's tension right there. Because it's like he loses his god form and he's going all the way, but he doesn't care because he wants to stop Beerus. And then the fact that you realize he still loses at the end, and that what kind of saves it is food, which you can argue it's ridiculous. But at the same time, the fact that you know that Goku tries his best and still loses, it makes you more curious of like, whoa, like this Beerus guy is just really, really strong, and they have to really step it up if they ever want to defeat him. And I think for motivation, you can see that motivation being the thing. And pacing wise, I mean, as I said before, the movie was more of a fun movie. I would say maybe there were probably some scenes that happened really fast. But that being said, if Beerus is this godlike character, like for the fact that Super Saiyan 3 gets defeated in like 1 second in the film or whatever, or like 2 minutes or whatever,
Yeah.
it makes
Yeah.
sense. Like it makes sense for Super Saiyan 3 to get defeated. In fact, if anything, it shows how strong Beerus is that they can't hold toe to toe. So I felt
Yeah.
that movie, why in my eyes, it's still better than this movie.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm gonna say that this one is my favorite movie just because like I thought the fighting, I thought everything, I don't know, like the rest of the movies don't have that much like everything before Battle of Gods was just like, not
Yeah,
those movies didn't have much story, they didn't have much
yeah,
uh like character development in terms of villains. Um this one we at least like got to see more of the villain and like learn about their story and everything. Um, I know Battle of Gods is a good movie for me too. It's like it's definitely second. I feel like Resurrection F was cool, but like it just didn't have the same excitement
yeah,
as Battle of Gods for me. But this movie, I was definitely very excited again because I just like Broly and and also because I feel like in terms of production value and in terms of just like fighting choreography and animation, it was just like this one was the best.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I definitely
yeah,
agree with you on that. Like, there is a lot of like that. I'll never get over that POV shot where you're Brawly and you're fighting Goku. But
Yeah, that was super fresh, super unique, and I just love that. Like, it was, it brought me into it like in a way that it never has before, and that was just like that was awesome. I love that scene. Um, but yeah, this movie was also, in my opinion, the most entertaining as well. Just like all the quips with Frieza, just like Broly all of a sudden attacking him after Goku and Vegeta like disappear. It was just, I don't know. There's so many great moments and so many like fun moments, even though like you said there isn't much tension, but at the same time it's just like very entertaining. So that's why it's my favorite movie so far. Um,
yeah, I mean, I guess my biggest issue with the movie, like, it's still an enjoyable movie. I definitely is worth. I feel like it's still worth like rewatching again in theaters, especially like if you want to watch it like in IMAX. I think that would be interesting to see the way the fights are done. It's just that the way the fan base was talking about the movie, it was just as if like I didn't see this whole like, emotionally depth, like this is the greatest story thing, and I'm just
yeah, I
wondering,
got
like,
you.
what did we watch the same movie? Because like this, there's a lot of like, and I think the biggest issue I think I would say this movie is like maybe the fact that it was ambitious, the fact that it was really this ambitious and it didn't really pay off is why I think I have a bigger problem versus something like Battle of the Gods where it wasn't as ambitious, but it stayed kind of its own lane. So I guess that's why I consider Battle of the Gods better because it's like although it's not as ambitious as this movie, it fit in its lane. And almost, if anything, it's the reason why we have these movies to begin with. Like this is the catalyst that changed the Dragon Ball series for good or bad. So I think that's the reason why. Versus this movie, I still don't know like even with this movie it being end. Like now we know Brawly's back, but I still don't know what they're gonna do now. It's like I'm still kind of left like, oh, so you added something, but where are we going? Versus Battle of
Yeah,
Gods, I'm like, I know where we're going now.
I see what you mean. Yeah, this is one of those in between movies. I'm pretty sure, because they're still continuing the manga and they're still continuing the story. So we're just gonna have to see what happens to Broly. Hopefully, they actually use him and didn't just like make this um a standalone type thing, and then they hardly mention him anymore. That would suck. I'd hate that.
That's true.
Like,
Oh,
yeah, but
one thing to give it to
you know,
his credit, I had to bring this out because I really did like this in the movie, is that I did like they did explain Brawly's form. And basically, Brawly's form is his crazy form is basically Super Saiyan 4 if you think about it.
yeah,
So
yeah.
Super Saiyan 4 is technically canon. So I will give it credit. I did like that there was an explanation to Brawly's form.
Yeah, I like that too. And something that you mentioned earlier, you mentioned that if they took out the whole like Saiyan origin, uh, Vegeta Planet Vegeta exploding thing, it would have been perfect for you. I actually enjoyed like getting to see that like in in a more like canon way, I guess. Just because this is Toriyama actually writing it versus
Mm,
the other movies. Um, I know that there was a lack of tension and it was pretty fast and rushed in many ways, and they could have definitely fleshed it out more, make it its own movie almost.
yeah.
But I still enjoyed seeing it just because um, I don't know, origin stories are enjoyable to me. They just like we already know what happens,
Mm,
but at the same time we get to see more of the details. We get to like I guess like see Goku's mom, even though she was just there for a couple like minutes and then dies. Just like it's just cool to see those things for
yeah.
me, and I enjoy it as a fan basically.
Yeah, I'll give it that. It had those enjoyable moments. I think I kind of still wish that we still knew. I mean, we know that Frieza hates Saiyans, but I really wish there was more of like why he destroyed um the planet because the way the trailer was exploded, it's like it's the perfect plan. Like it's like it was almost like we figured it
Uh,
out why he did it. Like I mean, we know why he did it, but we figure out that what's it called catalyst of like, oh god, I'm just tired of these Saiyans. Let's kill them now. Like I really wish they did show that. So,
I see.
but unfortunately they
Yeah.
didn't. But I guess in since this is canon, I wonder does that mean the whole because they said Beerus was kind of responsible for the destruction of the planet. Is that no longer part of the canon anymore? Because I honestly did not like that shift in the in this new series. So
I thought Reese mentioned that Beerus gave him permission to blow up the planet.
Oh, okay.
Something like that. I forgot. Maybe not. But yeah, I was sort of like waiting for Frieza to like name drop
Yeah.
Beerus while destroying the planet, but I guess it didn't happen. Um, but yeah.
And another thing I kind of had an issue, and I don't know why, this just came in my head too, was the whole why didn't they not bring up Kale? Like you think after the Tournament of Power that they would bring up, oh yeah, we fought someone similar to this, but it's like I don't know. Like I think this goes back to pacing where everything was just happening so fast that it was just
Yeah, I mean, for one reason might be like maybe they wanted this movie to be also for the general audience. So if like they mention something very specific and super, it's like, um, well, that people have no idea who that is, so why do it?
mm,
Um, but of course, if you're a fan, you're gonna have that question in your head, and well, you don't even have to be a fan. You just watch the series and you know. But but it's I don't know. It's not. I don't think it's necessary because um, I guess like Broly, they sort of want to put him front and center and not be like, oh, this person also has similarities or whatever. It makes him more unique in a way, you know.
mm, yeah, I'll give it that, but it's just to me it's just weird for them to like especially Goku and Vegeta to fight this person and not remember that they were in a tournament fighting someone who had a similar uh thing. Not to mention in that that when Kale turns to her form, Vegeto's like, "Oh, this is the true form of a Saiyan." So you would think he would mention that now again, but I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe they just weren't like they weren't thinking. They're just like, oh, we gotta defeat him. Gotta defeat him.
Yeah,
Yeah. But like overall, like for this movie, I enjoyed it a lot. Like, um, I know like the primary question was, oh, was Dragon Ball Super Broly a disappointment? I'm gonna say for me, it wasn't, just because like I enjoyed it a lot. It's very entertaining, and I'm a Broly fan, so yeah. So we're on different sides, but that's okay. Like one person, um, it's their favorite out of the past three, and then yours is Battle of Gods, and
yeah,
this one was a slight disappointment in some ways,
yeah.
but that's
It's
okay.
it's it's a slight disappointment, and I think the biggest issue was the overhype behind it that made it disappointing. But other than that, it's still an enjoyable movie, and I don't regret watching it. It's something that I'm glad I watched it in my lifetime. So I'll give it that.